Hey, everybody, it's Melanie Mack. I am back. I just wanted to come on again and say hello, and I'm going to be making more content and more videos, just sharing information from my travels, from my work, from partnerships that I have, from interesting people that I meet along the way, and my incredible team that works alongside me. I am uh, really proud of myself for jumping on to this platform. And I made, as some of you may have seen, I made my first uh, YouTube video a couple of days ago. But my plan is to be more consistent and to jump on every day and just make a video and just be in conversation with you. Is that all right? I hope that's all right. So what a day it's been. Today I had some meetings that which is just kind of a typical part of my day is really looking for companies that are in alignment that with the work that I do. And it's interesting because I was on a call with someone and they asked, basically like title, like what's your title? And I had given that to them and they were like, "Oh, you're a fundraiser." Just like kind of, blew it off. And just I just, I wish people were more collaborative and some people just aren't. And I'm not going to uh, I'm not going to have a heavy heart about that. I would like that to be a truth, and it just unfortunately in some situations it simply isn't. Or sometimes people will take the work that you do and try to um, dumb it down or make it small in some way. And if that has happened to you, just I encourage you to just just brush your shoulders off, keep moving in purpose. I did in connecting with this person, and this person is really, an amazing person. They do incredible work. But I did take a moment to just share that I am not simply a fundraiser. I am running a company, and I am managing people, and I am managing partnerships, and I am teaching artificial intelligence, on this large language model in different platforms. And so I'm managing talent and I'm producing projects and I am raising capital. I'm writing grant proposals. I am seeking and raising venture capital, which I've done before. Uh, those are not small task at all. And and so I think we need to be more, myself included, we need to be loud and visible about the work that we're doing. And it's important, it's important. And we need to own our power. And I talk about owning our power, how essential and how imperative it is that we declare ourselves, that we take up space. People say that, but they don't really take up space, but declaring yourself. I love that. Oh gosh, I can't think of her name right now, but she says this thing about standing on your story. And all of us have stories. All of us have been uniquely gifted with something special that only we can do, or only we can serve it up and do it and execute in a very particular way. And we need to own that because sometimes we think, or other people may think, oh, it's not that special what you do, or um, or sometimes, you may think that about yourself. I know I've had moments where I'm just like, some of the work that I do comes so easily to me that I think anyone can do it, and I have to step back and realize that no, not everyone can do the things that I do. Not, those of you that will, tune in and watch this video, you are special. There are things that only you can do. I certainly can't do them, right? And so just own your power. Own your power. I have a summit that's coming up, and it is going to be virtual. And this particular summit is about getting our financial houses in order. One of the things that I discovered during my therapist. I have an amazing therapist. My therapist, she calls it OG COVID, which I love that OG COVID. So during OG COVID, this was back in 2020, like right when everything was just everyone was on a mandatory uh, lockdown basically to stay in your home, stay within your pod, to not travel. There were many things that were going on. All of that to say, people were passing away, and to those who lost friends and loved ones, family members, my condolences. Same on my end. There were people uh, that passed away. And one of the things that I discovered was because it was happening so quickly and so suddenly, so unexpectedly, that there were spouses and partners and friends and caregivers who hadn't had conversations about uh, what someone would want in their passing. Also, just seeing that some spouses didn't know their partner's social security number or banking information or cell phone passwords or yeah, just the list goes on and on. And I was blown away by that. But I also saw an opportunity, and I thought, it's time for us to really get our houses in order. There was a time where I had horrible, horrible. I don't even know if my credit score was on the on the scale, like on the, on the spectrum of, whatever the lowest is to the highest. I don't even know if mine made the cut, but my credit was awful. And I'd fixed it, once before. I think I'd paid a service or something. And, went through a really bad divorce, and everything was in my name. Ladies, don't do that. Partners, don't do that. Okay. Anyway, everything was in my name. And my credit was crap. It was just terrible. But one year, I was I just decided I was tired of having bad credit. I just made a decision, tired of having bad credit. And I just took time to really focus on rebuilding my credit. And I did what's called, I believe it's the snowball effect. And so I started with the smallest debts that were showing up that were on my credit report, and I would just take time and pay those small things off, and just slowly building up to the larger amounts. And it's true when people say, with the snowball effect or process or modality, it's true, even though it's a small amount, when you pay it and you see your credit score rise from eliminating one of the smaller debts, it's a great feeling. It is, if you've experienced this, like it is just a wonderful feeling, like, wow, okay, let me keep going here. This feels great. So And so I continue to do that, just paying off, the smallest debts to, a little bit larger to then, the largest debt. And when I tell you, when I entered the 800 club, I was so excited. That's a number that I had never seen before. I knew it existed way down the line on the spectrum of credit scores, but I never thought I would be in that mix. And yeah, I was very intentional about it. And anyone can do that. Anyone can do it. I'm telling you, my score was in the trash, in the garbage, in the basura, whatever you want to call it. It was terrible, terrible. But when I entered the 800 club, I was, man, great feeling, such a wonderful feeling. And I started to apply for credit. And I was so surprised that I was like, oh, wow, what? I'm eligible for, you know, an American Express, like things I never used before, or maybe use someone else's, like that would allow me to use their card or something, but not my own. Having my own did not have that, and wow, what a great feeling. So I don't know how I got on this conversation about credit, but anyway, if you're, I know that this is, the holiday season, and some people are having many people are having, not some, many people are having a difficult time, but some, this is not, uh, this time isn't touching them. As my friend likes to say, is the hawk out? So some people are not experiencing that. But if you are struggling with your credit, take some time, be intentional, and start working on your credit. It's important to have a good credit score. It affects your uh, interest rates, things that you qualify for. If you're purchasing a home, a vehicle, if you're buying a business, just certain assets. A car is not an asset, but I could get into a whole conversation about that. Maybe that's like another video. But those kinds of things, it's important to have good credit, and you can have it. You just have to, you have to treat it like a job. Treat it like you would anything that's important to you, and carve out time. Don't be afraid to look at your credit report. Look at that thing, look at that report, and just start slowly knocking things off. Don't put a time limit on it. Don't give yourself a deadline. Just one step at a time, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just take one step at a time, and you will get there. And would love to see you in the 800 club, because wow, it's like you get to one door and it's like, oh, there's another door. There's a special door. I didn't know this door existed. It does. It does. There are special doors. There are special doors. So I want to get you there, but back to owning our power, owning your power. This is the season to do so. It's always important to own your power, and it is never too late. Never too late. I have these conversations. I'm fortunate that I still have my mother with me, and my father. And I have these conversations with both of them, who are now retired. And my mom, I really do my best to encourage her, to say that, just because you're retired doesn't mean that your life is over. And I know so many of us, our identities are so deeply embedded in the work that we do and the work that we've done. But I always tell her that, this is time to explore something else, or even if even if it's not exploring a different lane, it's finding a way to repurpose what you do. Now, my mom owned a beauty salon, which my brother has that talent. It just jumped right over me, you guys. I don't know what happened, but not my skill set, not my wheelhouse. I don't know what happened. I didn't get that gift, okay? That was not my gifting. Thank God my brother got it because when my mom retired, my brother started doing my hair. He was doing it before there was some overlap, but my brother does my hair, and I'm so grateful because he's so incredibly talented. Oh my gosh, he's so talented. But he hates doing my hair. I won't say he doesn't hate doing my hair, but I don't get anything special. You know, I wear the same style all the time. But that's because I've had every single style. I was the guinea pig for my mom. So I've had everything. I've had, the shaved hair in the back, the punk rock look, the grunge look. I've had a Jerry curl. I've had all the looks, the weaves, the braids. I still will rock some braids. I just started wearing braids uh, late in life, and I love it. I love wearing braids and the boho, the faux braids, and the faux boho braids, and those kinds of things. But anyway, my point is you can repurpose what you do. So with my mom being retired, she's had 4 knee replacements, and that's from standing behind a chair for more than 30 years. So she used to work in a salon, and then when I was, I think maybe 14, she launched her own salon. I named the salon, and she had been doing that. She had her own salon ever since, and but she was running that salon and standing behind a chair. She would travel to different places for hair shows and that kind of thing. Uh, always learning, always staying on top of the new trends and uh, knowledge that everyone needs to do that. I don't care what industry you're in. You need to stay on top of your industry or industries. And so my mom would do that, but ultimately she still stood behind a chair. So she's had 4 knee replacements, as I said, and now she's in a place where she cannot, even if she weren't retired, she can no longer stand behind a chair. It's too much on her with her mobility. But she has all of that knowledge, okay? All of that knowledge that can shut some of these people down, right? And so I want her to repurpose her technical skills and to teach some of those things. And I see, like, you think about more than 300,000 African American women were laid off or left the workforce this year. More than 300,000 African American women and people of color, women of color. 300,000, 300,000? That's basically Barbados. Like that's an entire economy. Like imagine, a country just, you know, no longer operable. That's essentially what has happened. So where does all of that knowledge go? Just the all of that institutional knowledge, the skills. Most of the time when someone leaves the workplace for whatever reason, whether they're laid off, whether they're fired, furloughed, uh, they self-select out, whatever the reasons are, that knowledge walks out the door with them. But there is a way to capture that knowledge. I know so many people that are walking around that are still highly competitive, but they're no longer in the workplace. They're not running their own companies or anything. Not that you have to. I think you should, but but there are just people that are, retired and just kind of enjoying their lives, and they are just a repository of knowledge and skills. And so anyway, I launched a company called Inherit Edge. And with that, I've been teaching people how to My phone keeps, I thought it was silent, so I don't know if you guys can hear that dinging or whatever, but just messages coming through. Uh, but I've been teaching people how to monetize their knowledge, like to monetize their mind and all of that information that they have. Those can be turned into all sorts of assets that will continue to pay dividends, like, while they're here and long after they're gone. So I don't know if that's something that you're interested in. I will put a link in that if you are interested in working with me. I'll drop a link for that. And I think I've been on Zoom so long today. I think it's about to die, but I will put it in the description of this video. And if you enjoy this, if this is good information, I'm happy to share more. I do share more extensively privately for members only, but I just thank you for the time. Thank you for stopping by. You were searching on YouTube and you found me. Here I am, Melanie Mack. It was great having this time with you, and I will see you next time. All right. Take care and be blessed.